Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to the Divine Union podcast. And if this is your first episode joining us today, you are in for a treat because today we're talking all about family dynamics and the sacredness and specialness of these dynamics, the gifts that are in these dynamics. I get real and vulnerable as I'm sharing. This episode was spurred from stuff I'm navigating in my own life. So I'm really excited to share with you all. And if this is the first time that you're joining us, welcome. And if it's not your first time tuning in, I'm so thrilled to go on this journey with you today. Sacred tensions and navigating family dynamics is what we're digging into today. And this is spurred from I'm back in Chicago where I was born. I'm actually in the building that I was born in, and I didn't realize it at the time as I signed my lease. It was something that my father had mentioned after the fact, and just a beautiful synchronicity that unfolded. And I'm here for the first time in, well, I say 4 years because it's been 4 years I've been traveling the world. And I went through this journey in the beginning of COVID when I was living in New York, where I had this huge spiritual awakening. And in this awakening, I was in a relationship that was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was a traumatic relationship and a toxic relationship in many ways. And it was also my greatest gift because it was the biggest mirror for me to look into my own patterns, my own ways of being, my own insecurities that drove why I ended up with partners that couldn't meet me in the ways I desired, that didn't treat me in the ways that felt good, that felt respectful, that felt honorable, that aligned with the vision of intimacy that I so deeply desire to have in my life. And it also caused me to look at my old patterns and where they came from. Because a lot of our patterns, our behaviors, our ways of being, they come from our early childhood dynamics, our familial dynamics. Now, this doesn't mean, and this is a learning, it's taken me time to embody this, but this doesn't mean that we blame our family for our ways of being, our insecurities, our pains, but rather to look at it with an understanding of like, oh, this could be where this behavior originated, where this belief originated, where this wound came from. Yet it's now on me as a sovereign, independent, whole being to take radical ownership and responsibility of that wound, of that pain, and do what I need to do to move forward. And this is the greatest gift that family gives us, that because that where we come from, what that gives us is it gives us that mirror of our deepest wounds and gives us an opportunity in this lifetime to overcome these wounds, to move beyond, to not let our past traumas and experiences dictate who we be now and how we show up now, but to be beyond, go beyond that. And so in this time of my life, to reinvent myself, because in this awakening, my entire world shattered. I had, I say I left my job in tech, but I lost my job in tech in New York in COVID. And I thank God every day for that because that invited me to reshift my life, to look at my priorities in my life. It gave me spaciousness to think about what am I here to do? And I'm not fulfilled in what I do. And what am I supposed to be doing? And what do I love? What am I passionate about? What am I good at? And that was the spark that started this whole journey of my coaching business. Sparked from my own self development journey before I built the business. It took me 2 years. I started learning and practicing and soaking up. What am I passionate about? Coaching, people, human dynamics. I'm obsessed with it. I read about it, communication. I studied it. I love it. I go to the park, I look at people, someone might think, I wonder what their life is like, how much they make. I think about what are the power dynamics between these people? What are the interpersonal dynamics? What are the subtleties? Yeah. Why does this person look away when this person's speaking? I love human dynamics, so that helped guide me. And then I looked at my own life. Okay, wow, I always wanted deep intimacy, but I couldn't cultivate it. So then I started practicing Tantra, solo Tantra, working with my connection to myself, deepening my connection to myself so that I can actually truly relate with another, whether that be romantic, familial, friendship dynamics. Because if I don't know myself, how can I relate with another? How can I be seen by another when I don't see myself? When I'm avoiding myself? So there was this huge journey of self development. Now, for me to change at that time, I felt like I needed to cut ties with everyone connected to my old life, my family included. And it's not something I ever talk about, it's something I start to share about now. And, I don't love that I did that, but I want to own that because sometimes it's challenging when we're stuck in a role of who we be, a role that we're playing. And especially in family dynamics, when those roles are so set in stone, and it's challenging to overcome those roles when you're around people that continuously see you in that role. And sometimes you need the distance from people, certain people, to reinvent, rebuild, to shift your behaviors, and then re relate. Now, I don't want to say that I'm inviting everyone to do this. Yeah, that's not how it has to be, but it's finding ways to create distance in any relationship because all relationships, healthy relationships, interdependence comes from two independent sovereign beings or a family unit, independent sovereign beings coming together to work together harmoniously. So we need that sense of separation to then come back. Separation, and then I choose to come back. Separation, come back. This mirrors a child dynamic. When you look at children, behavioral dynamics in children, how you study attachment theory is certain children, if you're more anxious, avoidant, or disorganized, right? If the parent leaves and comes back, how the child responds can dictate if they're anxiously attached. So if they're anxiously attached, perhaps the parent leaves, they come back, the child is distressed. When the parent comes back, maybe the child is hurt, they're angry, they don't let the parent in immediately. They kind of protest. The parent has to, I'm here, don't worry, I'm here. And then they let them back in. If it's an avoidant child, maybe their parent wasn't there often. When the parent then leaves, they come back, the child's still playing by themselves. They act like nothing's wrong, even though the child inside is distressed. I digress. So, a healthy dynamic, though, with a parent child is the child goes out, they explore the world, they're independent, and then they come back. Now, same in romantic relationships and familial relationships, healthy ones, right? We go, we explore the world, and we come back to that stable base. And so, in this time of my life, I felt like I needed to reinvent myself, which I did through these 4 years of separation from everyone tied to my old identity. And again, that's not the way it has to be. I'm also speaking to my journey in this when I speak to the lessons in the mirrors and in this episode. And so and so before that, I was in New York for 10 years. And so I wasn't really around with my family much. And I always wondered, which I'm sharing this episode because I feel many of you listening may also wonder in your own familial dynamic, what's the purpose? Why am I here? why I feel alone. I feel isolated. I feel on the outside looking in. I don't feel a part of my familial dynamic. I feel so different from everyone. I don't feel seen, whatever it is for you. Not understanding what's the medicine there. Why are you there? And it's something that's been coming up for me a lot as I'm here in Chicago in the first time and in the flesh in like 14 years, but really like being consistent is consistent. My staying power here with my family, nurturing those relationships for 4 years, of this like estrangement period. And especially if you feel like you're the black sheep in your family are very different, which everyone really feels like that in a familial dynamic. No one feels seen in the ways they desire. It's common. And we often look at it like, what is it I'm here to teach them? What is it I'm here to teach them? If you're like me and you bring that consciousness and you like to reflect on the meaning of life, the deeper meanings in all your relationships, not just family, what am I here to teach them? And sometimes we forget, what are they here to teach me? It's easy if you're conscious for us to get up on that high horse. How do I show them I'm better than them? Well, all this stuff. What do they show me about my own pains, about my own wounds, about my own fears, about why I avoid, about why I run, about why I separate myself from my family in different ways? Because we all do it. We all disconnect. We all withhold love. We all avoid. We all deflect. We all close. We all create conflict so that we don't have to feel our feels. All of these sabotaging behaviors, all these behaviors that minimize the intimacy, that get in the way of the true connection and depth that we can co-create in partnership in any relationship. And it forces us to look at that because our family knows the depths of our wounds, because that's where our wounds were born. And so it's sensitive when those wounds come up, because these wounds we often want to avoid. We don't want to feel them. We don't want to look at them. We don't want to work through them. We want to show that we've grown and overcome it. We don't want to go back to that inner child self that still doesn't feel like she's enough or he's enough, that feels like they're too much, that feels like they're not worthy, that deeply desires to be loved, that deeply desires to feel accepted, to feel validated, to feel seen, that doesn't feel seen. That's afraid of abandonment, that's afraid of rejection, that deeply wants validation. It's afraid of loss of the connection. We don't want to feel that. We don't want to see that that's part of us, because it makes us feel weak. And we often feel our weakest around family. And that's why many of us shut family out, because it reminds us of our own weakness. What we make it mean when relationships are strained, when they're tense. And so to maintain our ego and to protect our ego and ourself, we make them wrong. We shut them out. We avoid them. We don't humble ourselves and look back at, what does this show me as my mirror? Because if we truly believe, which I truly believe, that we choose our family, and if you've ever touted that and you've ever said that, and I have to check myself, that's why I'm on this episode transmitting this message from myself included. When we say that, then we have to really remember that in every moment. Even the challenge, I don't go back to the victim. Why am I here? If I choose them, what do they show me every day? I teach communication. And I have my own challenges in communication with my own familial dynamic. Now, what does that show me? How is that an opportunity for me to up level even more, for me to continue to embody what I teach, for me to stretch my edges and find new ways to communicate that's going to also enhance my business? It's going to enhance how I talk about this work. It's going to enhance how I teach my clients. It's stretching me, but I don't always look at it that way. It touches that wound because it makes me feel like I'm a failure. I'm a failure because I teach this and I can't navigate it effectively in some of these contexts, but instead shifting that. And this is where that true medicine comes. This is when we say, like, yeah, we choose our family, let's go. We choose it every moment. What is the opportunity here? It's an opportunity for me to deepen into my integrity, for me to deepen into my alignment. If I stand by the value that I'm filled with compassion and forgiveness, do I embody that with how I demonstrate with my family? With when someone hurts me, do I demonstrate compassion? And if not, then it's an invitation to come into deeper alignment of those values, because that's truly a value of what I stand by, and I don't embody it in this moment. What does that say? If I believe in being centered and grounded, if I believe in being in flow, and I can't be in flow in these relationships, I can't speak from a place of groundedness and relaxation, and I'm triggered in every moment and just responding, does my value need to change, or do I need to change to align to deeper into my values of who I be? If family is the most important thing in the world, and I say that, do I demonstrate it in how I treat the people I love? And it's remembering that. And it's getting off of our own ego and coming back to that unity. I'm not just here to teach them, to better them, to get them on my wavelength. Yeah, because if you're listening to this and you're probably a conscious being like I am, you like to think about things. Yeah, you're advanced in that way. But it's humbling ourselves. It's looking at everyone as divine. And what are they here to teach me? And maybe I've worked on myself more deeply in these ways, but it doesn't matter, because everyone has their own journey and everyone works on self and everyone reflects on things and everyone has depth, whether they show it in the way you want it to be seen or not, whether they communicate in the way that you communicate or not. It doesn't matter, because we are all deep, complex beings with wounds, with desires, with love in our hearts, with so much to give. And when we hold everyone in their highest, the most powerful force in the world is love. I don't like to get emotional on my shares, but it's been coming out so much more lately, because it's this time of my life is inviting this part of me out more to be seen. I cry a lot when I'm alone, but never on cam. I can't say never. This ain't the first time and it won't be the last. You know, I like to watch sermons because they make me feel good. And If you know my work well, if you've been following me from the beginning, I truly believe we're all the same, both the masculine and the feminine. All human beings are the same. So for me, the media I choose to consume doesn't really matter on the religion or the race or ethnicity or any of that, because for me, what I choose to consume is based on how I feel and seeing the bigger picture of the lessons and learnings of what I receive and taking what jives for me, which I invite you all to do, because otherwise, then we're falling into these divisive lines around gender, race, political views, orientation, ethnicity, which none of it, we're all human beings. So we take what jives for our own integrity. This is when we build our value system. But so I like to watch sermons. And there's this one pastor, her name is Stephanie Ike Okafor. And I read everything. I'm reading the Bible, I'm reading the Kabbalah, which will start sharing more. Read the Torah. And so for me, it's learning principles and teachings. But she had said this in a sermon that really touched me, which was the eagle. Eagles, to fly, they have to maintain a certain body weight to fly, because if their body is heavier than their wings, they won't fly. And so every time we put on layers, every time we feel guilt that weighs us down, that we don't clear or that we don't express about in a family dynamic, in a relationship, speaking to it, apologizing, naming it, voicing it, every time we carry shame for something that we haven't cleared, that we haven't voiced, I still feel shame about this. When you make that comment, it makes me feel shame, and I want to name it, I want to clear it. Regret, without voicing it, it helps us clear the regret when we voice it, because we all have things we regret. And naming it, I'm sorry I did that. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you when I was younger. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you when you were younger, when you needed me. Naming these things to ourselves, to God, and to the other. And when we do, it clears our light body. It clears our energetic body. It allows us to truly fly as eagles. This is how we soar on eagle's wings. This is how we run and not grow weary. That's what that Bible verse is about. It's about clearing our body through clearing these layers that we put on through hurts, through resentments, through pains from our childhood, through these wounds, and that keep us heavy so that we can't truly shine our light. And I feel that in my own life. I'm releasing being here. I'm releasing feeling these feels I haven't felt, letting myself clear, letting myself connect with my familia in deeper ways, letting myself share the things I haven't shared. And so I want to also give tools on these episodes, because I realize that some of it's like it's high level. I got that visionary mind, so I got to ground it in, so that we also make it tangible of also how do we navigate tense family dynamics and communicate in ways that invite more connection, that give invitations for the people in our lives to open, to share more, give invitation for us to share more. And so I want to share 4 tools that have really helped me, that continue to help me in my relationships, especially the tense ones, all of them, really. What relationship isn't tense? Like what relationship doesn't have conflict at times? We don't have to label them all as tense. They have conflict. They're beautiful, all of the feels. And so the 4 tools, one of them being restraint. Restraint is something that I actively practice, that I want to all invite you all who are listening to feel into and to practice when it comes to relating in times of conflict, intense dynamics. So restraint is something like, if someone is saying something that's hurtful, not sometimes, we all want to just lash back. We want to stoop to that level. We want to respond. We want to defend ourselves. We feel on the defense. We have to defend. And so we got to prove them wrong. And sometimes that means saying something hurtful so that they really see how it is, see what we see. But that rarely helps. And practicing this restraint, a way to do it first from the thought perspective, because what do we have to think about to actually invite us to want to do it? I want to invite you to think about because oftentimes we try to prove ourselves because we want that validation. I need to show you that I'm not intentionally mean. I need to show you that I'm smart because you're making me feel like a pathetic loser right now. I need to show you that I have value. So, because right now you don't respect me given the way you're speaking to me. I need to prove to you that I know what I'm talking about. Right? All of these things, these prove, that's where it comes from, the reaction. And to remind ourselves that our only judge is God. Your only judge, God, source, higher power, your own integrity. That's your judge. And when we remember that, when I remember that in my own relationships, it allows me to humble myself. Ego aside, you just disrespected me in public, but I'm not going to stoop to that because I know my only judge is me and my only judge is God. So instead, I'm going to respond out of alignment and integrity with my values. So I'm not going to go there. And now that's the thought rewiring. Now, how do we actually rewire that in the body? Breath. Breath, distance, space, pause. Breath, distance, space, pause. First, I'm going to breathe. If you notice your body contracting, closing up, taking breaths. I'm going to take some distance. Hey, I need a pause because I noticed that activated something in me. And I don't want to say something I don't mean. I don't want to say something hurtful. I'm going to take space and I'm going to pause. And then it's reflect on what did that activate in you and what feels true. So like, ooh, when you made that comment towards me in front of our entire family, it hurt because it triggered a disrespect wound, which is something that's deep for me. And what would have felt better is if you had spoken to me one-on-one or been more, or not have made such a direct pointed statement, but instead asked me a question about X, Y, and Z. Pause. Let them receive it. Let them respond. And so it's using that restraint to not lash back and instead to come back to heart, humility, and speaking from that place. Number 2 is neutrality. So it's how do we communicate from center and not from our wounds in time of challenge. So this means, like that example, first the restraint, then it's I'm going to center first and I'm not going to respond, but I want to respond from a relaxed place that's not emotionally charged. So if I have feels like when, I was really hurt by something my brother said to me, let me go home and cry about it. Let me release that grief. Let me also hit some pillows, release that anger, whatever it might be for you. And then let me express from a place of neutrality where I'm not, because it's emotion is beautiful. We can be emotional. And it's also like I don't have to be bawling on a conversation where I'm expressing. Sometimes it comes out. Yeah, it comes out for me. If you're a sensitive being like I am, it will. But the more that we also like allow ourselves to feel our feels in the presence of ourselves, it helps take the emotionality out of conversations, which can be easier to be received when you're dealing with folks who aren't as emotional. And then speaking from that heart centered space and practicing so that you can release the charge around it. I'm going to practice that statement. I'm going to see how it lands. Can I say it with neutrality? The next one is speaking to the behaviors over judgment. So you disrespect me versus that's speaking to the judgment, by the way, versus speaking to the behavior would be when you when you responded to me with a comment about my inability to see things from this lens, and you said it with such a tone in your voice, it hurt me because of X, Y, and Z. We're speaking to the behaviors because if we say you disrespect me, you make a judgment, it's going to put them on the defense and not see the behavior. We want someone to see the behaviors, so we actually make shifts in the behavior. So far it's restraint, neutrality, speaking to the behaviors over the judgment, right? So instead of why are you in a bad mood, we want to say, I noticed you didn't make eye contact with me. It's a behavior. The last one being curiosity. Asking powerful questions will be incredible for you to understand another, to invite more reflection from another, and to create more openness, especially if you're want to invite reflection. Now, we want to make sure that we are doing it from genuine curiosity and not leading because people feel the difference. So if you're like, "Oh, I wonder why you do something like that." That's leading. People feel it. It's a different energy. "Oh, I'm curious. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I noticed that caused a reaction. Um, what did I so I can be better about it next time? Like tell me, yeah, what did that activate? What do you feel around that?" And it's a different energy. What was that like for you? What did that mean for you? "Oh, I noticed, I just made this comment and then you responded to me um, with a tone. And yeah, I'm wondering if that comment, what that activated for you." And it's genuine curiosity, and that's going to invite reflection on their end to also look at their own triggers and reactions. Because this way we can truly build intimacy. It's inviting people to bring them their full selves to the table in the relationship. And that's best done when we're not guilting, when we're not shaming, but we're genuinely curious and not leading, but truly inviting folks to relate, choose to relate. Such a beautiful episode for me to record. It's been such a pleasure to talk about just the true gift, the true medicine that comes in our familial dynamics. Because no one will ever know us as deeply. No one has the true opportunity to know us as deeply as our family does, as the ones we love do. And it's truly a gift. And the journey is also the medicine. And so, not shaming ourselves for the past because that's part of it. The past fuels the future. We can change the past through changing the present. We can change the future through changing the present. We can change how we speak about the past through how we navigate the present. And it's knowing that time isn't linear and giving ourselves the compassion and the love of what happened happened. Let bygones be bygones. And now let's move forward. Let's find a new way to shift, to relate. And when we continue to do this inner work to shift who we be, how we show up, how we relate, it makes shifts. The most powerful force of love in the world is love, and that's what melts people. And how do we just melt the world through love, melt tensions away through love, and come from that place of utter gratitude and seeing the medicine and everything? This is here for me, even when it's hard. And it's my staying power to be in the space of discomfort. Because we didn't come here for everything to be comfortable. We came here to live, to feel all the feels that is to be alive. I love you so much, beautiful people, for tuning in, for joining me, for being in my world here, for sharing this energy that we feel energetically in the realms, for as we are all connected. Yeah, and so for giving your energy, for being here for this episode, and shoot me a DM, message me, leave a review, a comment. I would love to know what landed for you. And of course, it feels good to feel your feedback. This is how we gain traction, as a podcast and get more eyes and ears on the pod. And yeah, it's been such a joy to record this today. So thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Divine Union Podcast. I look forward to seeing you next week. And until then, may all your unions be divine.